Hey guys, starting us off for today's game is Fernando on Preston Garvey, Minuteman. This is a Naya Hate Bears deck with an infinite combats outlet with Preston and aggravated assault. And while this might be on the slower side, Preston can give some cool synergies you don't typically see in a game of CEDH. Next up is Ghost Stealers on Raul, Troubleshooter. This is a Dimir Scepter list, aiming to use the artifact to mill the table out with his commander, or running some sweet value engines like Emery or Velix. And when in doubt, you can always rely on thrasios as a solid win con. In the third spot is Hidden Planet X on Curie, Emergent Intelligent, and oh boy did I sleep on this card when it first came out. This little unassuming robot gets swole so easily and draws you so many cards, while getting to run counter magic to stop whatever your opponents throw at you. And bringing up the rear is Cedh on the Master Transcendent. This is a Sultai mill list, aiming to mill Razaket into the yard, and using the Master's ability to reanimate it on the spot. In addition, it's running additional mill to get to abuse creatures out of your opponent's yard, and ultimately win with thrasios.
Alright, block there, kill that. Oh, that is trample. Guess I'm just dead on board.
Stick 'em up. Fallout is here, and oh man, are these cards making a splash. Way more than I really thought when I first saw the spoiler list. There are obvious cards like the Mothman or the Master that I knew would probably see some play, but cards like Curie and Kellogg are way better than I originally thought when I saw the full list. I can't wait to keep testing these cards out, and I'll definitely have some more gameplays coming up in the future. But without further ado, let's get on to the gameplay. Fernando starts off the game cracking an Arid Mesa. He searches out a Taiga, tapping it to cast a Llanowar Elves. Ghost Stealers has a Chrome Mox, imprinting a Deadly Rollick. An Ancient Tomb then comes out as land, with him losing 2 life to cast a Demonic Tutor.
I'm like, is turn 1 Demonic Tutor good? I don't even know what I would get.
I mean,
probably.
depends on how fast you want to go.
Realistic study.
Yeah, I would
That's
get
my
Mystic
vote.
if you have a blue source.
Yeah,
About that.
that's boring.
A Demonic Tutor for a
That's
basic island.
I'm thinking about it.
It's fine, you know, if you need your land, you need your land.
Hidden plays a snow-covered island and taps it for a turn 1 Mystic Remora. Cedh on his turn cracks a Windswept Heath for a Bayou, and uses the land for Deathrite Shaman. Fernando plays and cracks a Marsh Flats to grab out a Savannah, tapping out as he casts Jaheira, Friend of the Forest. Ghost Stealers plays a Manamo, and did get the Ristic, as he casts the enchantment and gives Hidden a card. Hidden keeps his fish alive and plays and cracks a Misty Rainforest for another snow-covered island. Cedh has an Ancient Tomb and casts a Jeweled Lotus. He does take 2 to pay for the Ristic, but gives a card to Hidden. He exiles a land out of Fernando's graveyard along with his Lotus to help him cast his commander, the Master Transcendent, who resolves and gives him 2 rad counters on ETB. Fernando has another fetch as he cracks a Windswept Heath for a Plateau. Fernando then heads to combat and sends Jaheira at Ghost Stealers, with the elf heading at Hidden. There are no blocks with Fernando on his second main casting a Collector Roof, paying for the Ristic.
Thank you guys for paying your taxes.
Ghost Stealers is now locked out of black mana and passes the turn. Hidden lets the fish go and plays an Urza's Saga as land for turn. He decides to get his commander online and can pay for the Ristic, passing after that. Cedh untaps, draws his card, and then mills a Birds and a Swansong to the rad counters. He loses him 2 life and his rad counters. He then follows it up with a really sad Felwar Stone, continuing to pay for the Ristic. Fernando plays and cracks a Bloodstained Mire, bolting himself when he grabs out an untapped Stomping Ground. But this does give him the 5 mana needed for his commander. Fernando does give Ghost Stealers his first card of the game, with Fernando then heading to combat and gains a settlement token on a Stomping Ground. He ends his turn sending his team at Ghost Stealers for 4. Ghost Stealer still doesn't have much to do and passes. Hidden draws his card and upticks his Saga. He has another snow-covered island and taps 2 for a Gilded Drake. He gives Stealers a draw and ends up swapping control with Preston, with Hidden following that up with an Insole artifact on Curie. Ghost Stealers draws and then fires off a Spell Pierce, to which Hidden pays 2 life to a Mental Misstep. Ghost Stealers draws and the enchant is good. Hidden then heads to combat and gets a settlement on his island. He swings his commander at Ghost Stealers and on connect draws 5 cards off Curie, with Cedh at his end step casting a Worldly Tutor. Ghost Stealers draws and Cedh finds an Orcish Bowmaster to put on top, with Hidden having to discard 3 due to hand size. Cedh draws his Bowmaster and starts hatching plans.
Hey, Fernando, say I were to let you tutor, what would you get?
Something that hopefully gets my commander back.
Do you have anything
Stack,
like that?
Do not.
I have
get
no
stacks.
idea if I have something like that.
I wouldn't bet on it.
I really do not know.
I don't trust anybody else.
I would tutor for a land and show you.
Hmm,
I'm so far
that
out of
is
this
kind
game.
of enticing.
I would get Underground Sea and show it to you.
Hmm.
I don't even know if I'd activate it. at that point.
If you promise me that, then I'm down.
Cedh ends up casting a Scheming Symmetry, and he then pays for the Ristic, but he does give the tutor to Ghost Stealers. Stealers then grabs his agreed upon land, with Cedh casting his Bowmasters, using up his floating mana. Ghost Stealers draws off the cast, with the Bowboy shooting down Fernando's Llanowar Elves. Fernando has a Mana Confluence as land, and it heads to combat. The Drake heads back at Hidden, with Fernando on his second main casting a Blind Obedience, paying for the Ristic. Ending his turn, he casts a Soul Ring, paying the Ristic and extorting the spell as well. Ghost Stealers plays his tutored Underground Sea, and for 3 casts a Zelix, Sanity Flare. It enters tapped, with Stealers ending his turn discarding an Exotic Orchard and a Muddle the Mixture due to hand size. Hidden untaps, draws, and makes a construct before sacrificing the Saga to search. Unfortunately, Hidden can't grab out the Phyrexian Dreadnought due to the oof, and settles on a Soul Ring. Both artifacts enter tapped, with Hidden then playing and cracking a Flooded Strand for another snow-covered island. And this is where Cedh makes another deal. He needs the oof gone, and won't kill Curie if Hidden swings. Hidden likes drawing cards and accepts. He moves to combat, gaining another settlement on his tapped island, and he then sends Preston and Curie at Ghost Stealers for 9. With Hidden untapping his enchanted permanents on Preston's attack.
Okay. Alright, guys. I understand it's a cute deal. But these Orcish Bowmaster triggers, where are they going?
Well, I did make a deal, so I think Zelix and Oof is my current plan.
Okay. Alright, and then hopefully Hidden can just draw interaction for you. Alright, I'll take it.
Hidden does connect and draws 5 cards, with the Bowmaster killing the oof and the Zelix. Hidden then on his second main wants to grow his constructs, as he casts a Lotus Petal, paying the 1, and then a Mana Vault, still paying for the Ristic, with Hidden having to discard 2 cards due to hand size. Cedh on his turn slams down a Mesmeric Orb. He pays the tax on it and passes after that. Fernando untaps and mills 7, with him on his main phase casting a Nature's Claim. He pays for the Ristic, with Hidden countering back with a Dispel. Hidden can't pay the 1 and Ghost Stealers draws, with Cedh pinging Hidden with the Bowmaster. But the Dispel is good, countering the claim, with Fernando following that up with an Eldritch Evolution, sacking his Jaheira to go look for a 5-drop. Fernando does pay the tax and also extorts once again. He goes looking through his library but is not sure what to grab. Totsky will draw him a card, but not much else, so instead he decides to grab out a Linvala, Keeper of Silence, since it also shuts down the Master. Fernando then ends his turn smacking Hidden for another 3 with his Drake, with Ghost Stealers at his end step vamp tutoring. He finds a card to put on top and loses 2 life. Unfortunately, Ghost Stealers forgot about the Mesmeric Orb, as he untaps. He has 3 mill triggers and fires off an auto arrow to pounce the Curie after finding out he actually couldn't stop the mill. Steelers then mills 3 and the table finds out he tutored out a thoracle. He then has a tapped Undercity Sewers as land, surveilling a Phyrexian Metamorph to the grave. Hidden untaps and mills 8. He takes 1 off his tapped vault and finally draws his card for turn. He spends 3 mana to recast his commander, paying for the Ristic, and then has the combat. He gets another settlement, and with the thoracle being milled, doesn't like the thought of what Ghost Stealers has in hand. So Hidden decides to send his Construct and Preston at Ghost Stealers for 9. Hidden then untaps his 3 lands and mills 3 cards. Ghost Stealers does have a Tainted Pact in hand, but not a free kill spell, so he dies, and Hidden ends his turn there. Cedh untaps and mills 3. He then casts a Yawgmoth's Will, but doesn't have much since he can't recast the Scheming Symmetry, and instead just wants a bit of value. He replays and cracks his Windswept Heath for a tropical island. Next up, he recasts his Lotus, and he then ends his turn recasting his Birds of Paradise. Fernando mills 8 and doesn't like what he drew, as he plays and cracks a Misty Rainforest to grab out an untapped Temple Garden. He then casts a Mass Hysteria for the Extort, and then ends his turn sending his team at Hidden for 6. Hidden mills 3 and takes 1 from his vault. He heads to combat to get another settlement and sends a team at Fernando for 10. Although responding to the untapped trigger, Hidden taps his island for a blue. He then mills 1 and uses the blue to cast a Mystical Tutor. Hidden looks through his list and finds it tempted by the Orc. Damage then happens with Hidden drawing 1 off Curie and getting pinged by the Bowmaster. Then, on his second main, Hidden casts the Tempt, letting him take the Orcish Bowmaster and the Gilded Drake. Cedh untaps, mills 4, and ends up passing after that. Fernando mills 3 on his turn, and then casts an Utopia Sprawl on his Taiga. He extorts it again, and ends with combat, sending 3 more at the air at Hidden. Hidden untaps, mills 8, and then pays to untap his vault. 3 mana then gets him a Zoetic Glyph, which makes Curie a 5/4. Combat is then held, with Hidden sending his team at Fernando for 14. Hidden has to untap his stuff and mills 4, with damage still happening. Hidden gets to draw 5 more cards, and on his second main casts a Grim Monolith, still having to discard down due to hand size. Cedh actually doesn't mill anything this time, and plays a Llanowar Oasis land for turn. Fernando heads to his turn and mills 3 more cards. He has a Mana Crypt and extorts it, ending his turn swinging 3 at Hidden. Hidden untaps and mills 5. He takes 1 off the tap vault and plays a Cavern of Souls on Wizards as land for turn. He starts off with a Steel Enchantment on Fernando's Blind Obedience, following that up with a Phyrexian Metamorph. Hidden actually can extort due to the settlements, and the clone enters as a copy of Linvala. Hidden then heads to combat, gaining another settlement, and setting the Gilded Drake at Cedh, with the rest of the team minus the Bowboy heading at Fernando for 16. Hidden untaps and mills 6, with damage happening after that. Cedh draws and doesn't seem to have much going on for him as he passes the turn. Fernando mills 2 and then takes 3 from his crypt. He finds something to do as he casts a Buried in the Garden to enchant his Savannah. Fernando wants to get rid of Hidden's Phyrexian Metamorphed Linvala, and once the sky is clear, he is Hidden for another 3, with Hidden at his end step untapping his Grim Monolith. Hidden untaps and mills 8, unfortunately milling his Time Twister, with him on his first main deciding to go for it as he overloads a Cyclonic Rift. And while Fernando was ready to scoop them up, Cedh responds with the Spell Snare. Hidden does have an offer you can't refuse, and while it counters the Spell Snare, Cedh still has more responses as he free casts a Force of Negation, pitching a Mental Misstep. And the Force gets there, as Hidden follows that up with a March of Swirling Mist, where X equals 4, by pitching a Tezzeret and a Step Through. Cedh isn't done yet, as he mind breaks it though. But enough spells have finally been cast that Hidden can respond with his Flusterstorm to win the counter war and phase out Cedh's creatures. Hidden then heads to combat and sends his team at Cedh. Hidden has to untap 6 and mill 6, but the damage happens and takes Cedh out of the game. Hidden does lose the Bowmasters and has to pass the turn after that.
Alright, heads, I'm fine. I am fine. Okay.
Darn. I was hoping to get you on your own mana crypt.
I drew. Oh, I don't mean that, right?
No, you don't
I drew
mill.
another land, so I'm just gonna tap City of Brass and Manic Influence. I'm out.
Yeah, go out on your own terms.
Hell yeah.
Whew. Game review. Man, I can't believe I almost got milled out in CEDH. But it certainly was close by the end. I do think that Cedh should have been using his Orc token a little bit more offensively, though, as I was at 4 life when I won, and even one attack with the Orc would have made me way more hesitant with being able to attack with my construct. And seeing the rate at which I milled, Cedh really should have tried to make the game extend just a little longer. So if I couldn't swing with my construct, that would have then won by milling me out. Granted, he still would have had to take Fernando out, but honestly, Fernando was in a rough spot this game. He had all the proper stax pieces with the Oof and the Linvala to stop us from doing much, but was missing the value engine to keep pace with us. And he spent the last half of the game empty-handed and relying on the top of his own library. And as for Ghost Stealers, I honestly felt a little bad as he turned into the punching bag of the table. He took so much damage just due to him not fielding a creature fast enough. And while I do think I was correct in taking him out, I really did want to see his deck shine at least a little bit more. And before everyone leaves, I want to thank our special Patreon members, Josh Schutt, Sly Fox, Tango Down, and Holy Septic, for their support of the channel, along with all of our other Patreon supporters as well. And as always, I want to thank all of our other players who joined for the games. And remember, never give up, even if you're dead on board. I'll see you guys later.